95, but I will be very grateful as I'm introducing myself to you in the chat if you can write your name and the country that you are watching me from. So my name is Diana Constantinide. I am a counsel, barrister, 33 Bedford Row Chambers. And in the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, the aim and the purpose of this very workshop is for you to leave from this workshop and have a better picture, a better idea what you're going to do. So it is not a theoretical one, although we will provide the context. But my aim is that we're going to have 6 hours together. So truly the purpose of this is for you to leave and say, yes, this is what I need to do. And this is a plan of action. So that's what we're going to work on. And this is what we're going to do. It is, and you will see that it will be an interactive session. And I will be asking you a few things along the way. And I can see so far we only got Philippines who's joined us. But as I speak, please do type your name and the country that you are that you're listening. Excellent. Now, Adiba, if you can just please, yes, thank you. So the first slide of the PowerPoint. Oh, we've got one from Italy.
Just 1 second, please.
Oh, Salome. Hello, Salome, Philippines, Australia. Beautiful. United Kingdom. Hi, Kimby. Good morning.
Can I just call on Elma, please, here from IILS, if she could share her screen instead, because I'm having technical issues too, it seems. And I will also have to leave the workshop earlier. So Elma, if you could please help out with sharing Diana's slides on your screen.
All right. Trisha will be sharing. I'm just forwarding to her the slides. Should be real quick.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Hello, Jenna. Hello, Collins from Netherlands. Hello, Annabelle. Kai. Romeo. Magbadai. Hello, beautiful. Hello, Delia. Good morning. Is it morning now, Philippines?
It's the afternoon,
I'm not sure
actually.
about the time difference. Hello, Julia. It's late afternoon. Oh, it's 5 p.m. Okay. Yeah, almost 5. That's lovely. Okay, so whilst we're trying to find to kind of present you with a PowerPoint slide, just to be able to follow a bit easier, the way that I thought about conducting this workshop is that we do 1 hour. We take 10 minutes of a comfort break, then 1 hour, 10 minutes comfort break, and then it's going to be another half an hour where we're just going to wrap up for today's workshop. But if you feel, just let me know if you're content with this structure. So we do 1 hour, 10-minute break, 1 hour, then about half an hour, if you're content with this way, because I'm always very conscious that I want you to be focused as to what we do and really take as much as you can from this workshop. Hello. Oh, one from Bangladesh. Hello. Hello, Rahman. Okay. So I think it will be good to have that comfort break, 10 minutes. And if you do have any questions along the way, feel free to text it. Yes, and just put it in the chat. I will be monitoring the chats. I will be checking your questions. Now, okay. Whilst we are trying to find the PowerPoint slides, perhaps what the idea is that before we address the career paths, so that will mean either the institutional structures and indeed how you can become an international criminal lawyer and your professional development, I just find it very important to situate this workshop within a broader normative and historical context. And so the normative context, which is also, if I may say, this very moment that we live. So we're living in time where wars are broadcasted in real time, civilians are targeted deliberately, democratic institutions such as, for example, NGOs, the United Nations, the International Criminal Court, have been weakened and targeted. And there is indeed an existential crisis of those institutions. We have seen and we do see that corruption corrodes the public trust, and there is an environmental destruction that threatens entire populations and even this very earth. And along all this, there is a disinformation that spreads faster than the objective facts, or perhaps sometimes even the truth. And with the use of technology and the phones, all this is very accessible. So turning now to the historical context. So we are living in a post-world order. So after the Second World War. And collectively, all of us, even though we may not have lived the Second World War, it has been bestowed upon us a promise. The promise is that never again to see children dying, never again seeing bombardments, never again seeing the civilians, the mothers, and the suffering. However, this promise feels very fragile. And as you may know, after the Second World War, there was a trial called the Nuremberg trial. So the Nuremberg legacy, following that, is somehow fading before our eyes. And in this fragile moment, the world does not simply need more lawyers. It needs something more than that. In my view, and the purpose of this very workshop is that we need to prepare, and I do feel that responsibility, the next generation of international criminal lawyers. No technicians, no opportunists, no careerists, but principled defenders. And what to defend? Defend human rights, the rule of law, democracy, peace, accountability, dignity, and defenders that are determined to speak the truth, and even when we feel weak to do so, and even if our voice shakes. So it's that element of determination in believing in those very core values that rests within the very pulse of international criminal law. And the reason for that is that without accountability, impunity grows. And where impunity grows, violence follows. And what does impunity mean? Impunity means where, let's say, a commander-in-chief in an army or in a state decides and commits atrocities, whether it's genocide, war crimes, or crimes against humanity, and believes that that person, that head of state, is above international law, it's above human rights, is above the human life. So that's where impunity grows, because there is no accountability. So therefore, international criminal law, it's not merely a legal specialization. It is a response. It is a call to a systematic human failure. And it emerged from the recognition that certain crimes, which we will touch upon them very briefly, are so grave that they concern the international community as a whole, and that accountability for such crimes, once the principle of complementarity has been met, the state's politician discretion to address those heinous crimes is not absolute. So that allows for the individuals to be prosecuted. Now, the principle of complementarity, it is where you allow the country or the state to deal with the matter before it comes to the ICC. So if I can say that very simply. I am very mindful that this workshop, it's for you to know how to navigate in those uncharted area of law. So the purpose of this workshop is not for me to deliver on the law, case law. As you may appreciate, international criminal law, it's a subject that it can last for an entire year. So it is, or it's a master on its own. So this is predominantly about how to become an international criminal lawyer. So that's just briefly about the complementarity, so you're aware. So it is in the Rome Statute, and I will explain that briefly later on, that the states, if they can deal with it, they should deal with it. If they fail to do so, then it can be referred to the ICC. Now, at this moment, I'm going to make a pause and I'm going to ask Adiba if we have been successful. I don't know. Have we been successful in sharing the excellent? Can I please ask you to turn to the next slide, please? Okay, so this is the PowerPoint slide about the normative context, so the times that we are living. And if you can click for the next slide, please. Thank you very much indeed. So if I may ask you to pause here, and I will let you know when it's the next time to click on the next slide. Now, in periods of geopolitical instability, and we have seen the democratic backsliding, we have seen, and we do see, armed conflicts, genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, large-scale corruption, kleptocrats, environmental catastrophes, and the relevance of international criminal law becomes particularly acute. So we are witnessing not just the hundreds that we are in this workshop, but I think as a humanity, as a global conscious humanity, we are witnessing renewed challenges to the rule of law. Polarization within the international institutions and the growing skepticism towards multilateral accountability mechanisms. So in this context, in this, as I said, challenging times, it is necessary for us to prepare, and I will do this as much as I can. I want to prepare you to be the next international criminal lawyers, because the reality is that we really need you, and I feel that we need you more than ever. And I will get to meet you a bit during this workshop, and I am here to help as much as I can to guide you through and to speak up for those less fortunate, for those that they don't have voice. So we really do need you. The International Legal but what is international individual training to uphold the I want you to believe. I think I consume a lot of hope into what I do, and the reason what I am doing it. So I am guided deeply from the light that is called hope, but also the belief that international criminal law emerges from the ashes of global catastrophe. And I've seen, and we have seen it historically, that international criminal law was born out of understanding that power must be separated, restrained by law. And I mean, the separation of powers has been here for a long time. Montesquieu, the French judge who spoke about the separation of powers, it will be very helpful actually at this point if you can just type yes or no in the chat box whether you do know about Montesquieu and the separation of powers. And whilst I'm concluding my point here, I'm just going to check the chat to see whether you do. It would just give me an understanding as well of the detail that I need to go through in those various points that I'm making. So in international criminal law, it does emerge from the from perhaps the ashes of global catastrophes, and the separation of power. It is an important way to build democratic societies where they obey and where they follow the rule of law, accountability, justice. Institutions such as the International Criminal Court was created not because the world was stable. It was created because there was a need. There were atrocities, heinous crimes being committed. So it was born from that very need, from this very, if I said, as I said, from those global catastrophe ashes. I'm just going to pause here to check the chat. Excellent. Okay, so I've seen a few of you, you know about the separation of powers in Montesquieu. And fun fact about Montesquieu, he was a French judge. And if I'm not mistaken, he was fed up with his career as a judge. And he decided to travel back in the 1870 something. He decided to travel Europe, and he did so by observing how countries were behaving, and by the power of observation he came with the Montesquieu principle and the separation of powers. So I mean, sometimes it's just about stories like this, reading how people come about in understanding how law is created, but also how principles are made. I truly believe that the power of observation, it is such an important element. So bear that in mind in this workshop. So I will give you information, but make sure, go look at it and also observe. Observation, kind of educational tool. So that's about Montesquieu. No, that's great, and thank you for those who answered. So the International Criminal Court, as I said, was created because national systems sometimes fail, and we're going to go through some cases there. And it was also created because leaders, sometimes they become perpetrators, and because a lot of times victims are silenced. But equally, and I can't stress this enough, and it's very important, and I feel that lay people do confuse this, is that international criminal law, it is not about revenge. It is not about politics disguised as justice. And it is not about punishing enemies. It's about justice and fairness. And whenever you get the opportunity to clarify that, I think it is very important to spread this important piece of information as to what international criminal law is about. And nowadays we do see that the perception about international criminal law being something different to what it is in reality, which is about justice and fairness. What it does, it prosecutes prosecutes whilst respecting fair trial rights, and there is also the presumption of innocence. So once you bring a perpetrator at the International Criminal Court or either hybrid courts, there is a presumption of innocence. Now, about the presumption of innocence, again, that's another topic on its very own, and I had great intellectual but also legal conversations about it, whether it does exist or not, whether it's conscious or subconsciously, but I'm going to leave that there. So an international criminal lawyer must be able to do two things at once. The first one is to stand firmly for accountability and to stand equally firm. So due process, it will be the procedural aspect of any trial. And sometimes, and it is part of this job, and I think that comes with experience, is that balance sometimes is not easy. It does require intellectual discipline, it requires moral courage, and sometimes emotional strength. And for me personally, it helps a lot to place it as in that part of my day that it is part of my professional integrity. And everyone, especially if you're dealing with crime and international criminal law, you got to find those internal mechanisms as to how you place them in the day. And I've been doing this for some time, and I'm always trying to help, like yourselves, to navigate yourself into this area of law. But it's not separate from being, having a happy life, to become parent whilst doing all this. So I think that's another element. I'm not going to address that, but every time I'm trying to understand each and every one of you, those are the questions that I would ask. For example, if you want to be a parent, because that changes how you prepare your strategic plan. But as I said, this is more generic, so we're going to leave that there. So I mentioned about the institutions such as the ICC, the ICJ. We've got the mechanism. We've got ad hoc tribunals that they were established on the premise that impunity for genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity and aggression undermines both peace and international stability. And yet the effectiveness of all these institutions ultimately depends on lawyers capable of navigating complex evidentiary frameworks, jurisdictional challenges. A lot of times it's an integral part of doing ICL, and the political sensitive environments. When we talk about political sensitivity, it again, it is the impunity, the element of impunity. So it's not that it is sensitive on its own, but is that it is made sensitive because of politics. And I'm going to put a full stop there. I just want to check yes, okay, so we're still in the slide, and it says, and this is something that I said a few times, that this workshop proceeds with a principal premise that future international criminal justice will be shaped not only by treaties and tribunals, but by the lawyers who interpret, apply, and defend them. And those lawyers are yourselves. And we need to find, and that's what we're going to do today, how are you going to do that? So, Deepa, can you please click, sorry, is it, who is in charge now of the PowerPoint slides? Can I just have the next slide, just to, please, thank you. Okay, in that case, can you go back? We're gonna put this on a bit later. Thank you. So, so international criminal law, it is a branch of public international law, and what it does, establishes the individual criminal responsibility in the international community. And those are the Rome Statute crimes. And can I please ask you to type, and there is nothing wrong whether you do know what Rome Statute crimes are. So if you do know what Rome Statute crimes are, if you can type yes. If you don't, say no. Rome Statute crimes, they have been codified and they exist to ensure that perpetrators of grave atrocities cannot hide behind the state of authority. They cannot hide behind political power or national borders. What international criminal law focuses on holding individuals accountable, including political leaders, military commanders, and other senior officials. I'm just going to check the chat box to see what you've typed. I don't know whether it's from the previous one. Okay, I think there are a few yeses. Okay, so in that case, what I'm going to do as well, I will touch a bit briefly on the Rome Statute crimes, because I feel that it is so important to leave from this workshop and have an understanding as to what international criminal law is about. So we're going to do that. No worries. Okay. I will do that a bit later on. So we're still trying to put kind of the landscape of this workshop, if I may say. Crimes are in essence four core crimes, and it is genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the crime of aggression, which was added a bit later on. So those are the four core crimes, which we also call them the Rome Statute crimes. But it's equally important to emphasize that the scope of international criminal law it's evolving. So it's not static, it's not just those crimes, and we're gonna go in quite detail about this, that it is evolving. And traditionally we can find international criminal law in what's been codified now into the Rome Statute. But there are other emerging areas, such as, for example, ecocide and severe environmental destruction. The proposal for the establishment of the International Anti-Corruption Court, and recently I was moderating a talk about whether an International Anti-Corruption Court should be, whether to be or not to be, as a separate court. The transnational corporate accountability, so when we're dealing with corporations, and how technology is facilitating crimes, not only in armed conflict, but even in non-armed conflict, and the way that a warfare is conducted. So these developments reflect a broader recognition that large-scale harm to humanity may manifest new and more complex forms. And therefore, this discipline that you decided to embark on is therefore dynamic rather than static. Now, the credibility, and there is a lot of criticism on ICC. If you follow, make a note of this, the European, IAJL, European International Legal Journal. It's a great space to read articles which professors, mainly professors and practicing international criminal lawyers, on all those topics, and it's a great source of information, and it kind of is in real time as well. And what is really nice about this platform is that when you read the article, it provides you with hyperlinks on the decisions or in the previous article. So it's a great way to even get started. So even if you read the most recent ones, it will kind of help you to go through back in time, because it's got all these hyperlinks. Can I just check with you? Have you made a note about this? Actually, can I? It's called. So let me just find it for you, and I will put it now. I'm going to be giving you a lot of links. Open a Microsoft Word document and just copy paste all these links I'm going to be sharing. So it's the European, what is it? Legal Journal. Yeah, found it. So I'm going to send it to you all now. And this is a great way. Treat it as your social media of law or something like that. I mean, and sometimes there's some heated discussions with professors and all that, so you get to see the gossips of the legal community, how everybody's is responding to things. So it's put that into your browsers on your phone and just keep checking the articles. It's a great way to maintain your awareness. Okay, so that's been done. So for those of you considering this field, I think it's very important that it is essential to understand that it demands more than just the intellectual capacity. It requires cross-cultural competence. Myself, I am Cypriot, but also Swedish. I've studied in the UK. So all these kind of cultural differences that I bring within me as an individual, it does, first of all, I embrace them. And then secondly, they've helped me to a great extent in so many different aspects of my professional legal career, to whether it's understanding the victims or the way they operate and behave. So embrace your differences, embrace your authenticity of who you are, and bring that on the table. And the willingness to operate within a contested political environment. And you will see that politics sometimes they become a hurdle as to what ICL is aiming for, which is fairness and fairness in due process. So I think we are now on the right slide. Let me just check it. Yes. So this workshop will proceed on the principal premise that the future of international criminal justice will be shaped not only by the treaties and tribunals, but by you, the lawyers who will interpret, apply, and defend them. So if I can ask you please to click on the next slide. Excellent. Okay. So the participation, your active involvement in this field, I believe, but I also feel that it presupposes a willingness to uphold foundational values. And those are, as I said, and you will hear me saying this numerous times in this workshop, it becomes like a little prayer for me, those words, which is human rights, democracy, accountability, rule of law, and peace. So it is the foundation of ICL. So if one is unwilling to defend a fair trial rights when politically inconvenient, or to confront impunity when politically sensitive, the field will prove difficult for you, because you are going to be caught sometimes as to those very foundational principles. So with this framework in mind, I want to conclude my opening reflection by briefly, I want to step out from the strictly legal professional vocabulary. And before I turn into the substance of this workshop, I want to introduce you to a different voice. And this is the voice, and you're going to hear now a very short lecture worth about 3 minutes, no more than that. And it is Alan Watts. Alan Watts is a British philosopher, and in his lecture, which is called The Real Deep Down You, Now, as you listen to this short extract, I want to invite you, all of you, to reflect on what you're about to become. And you're about to become an international criminal lawyer. And this path is demanding, is technical, and often politically charged. But before it becomes a profession, it is a journey that begins from within you. Your conscience, your intellectual discipline, your moral courage. But yet this journey does not end with you. The architecture of international criminal justice, the lawyers, the accused, the victim, the judge, and the affected community are not abstract categories. And you would feel during your career that sometimes they are treated in such a way, whether it is statistics, whether it is the number of victims that have been killed, the number of children. But if you really think about it, every child, it just carries a life with it. And it's the way they died and the impact they had. So you will be part of this journey whereby human beings will share their vulnerability and their dignity. So in that sense, you and I, the victims, the lawyers, and even those who stand for trial, the perpetrators, we all participants in the same human condition. We all exist in the same fragile, interdependent cosmos. So to internalize this is not to blur responsibility, rather is to ground responsibility into a shared community. For us, mission is international criminal law, but yet it is not a single career. It is larger than professional ambition, institutional prestige, or universities that you wish to graduate from, or geopolitical alignment. It is a commitment ensuring that even in the aftermath of profound human failure, law remains anchored in dignity. So with all this in mind, what I'm going to do, we're going to play this video now, which is 3 minutes, and I can see it's going to be about 12 o'clock when we finish this video. So what I propose we do, we listen to this this extract of lecture, and then we'll have a 10-minute comfort break, because when we come back, we'll come back about 10 past 12. I've got different times here, so I'm going to need a bit of help to get, but it's 10 minutes. So once we finish from this extract, then we're going to have a comfort break. So if I can please ask on the PowerPoint slide, thank you very much. I can see you've got your, yes. So I will mute myself. Yes, and if you can, is it possible to play that video?
Yes, Diane, I'll just set it up.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Patricia.
You're ready to wake up, you're going to wake up. And if you're not ready, you're going to stay pretending that you're just a little, poor little me. And since you're all here and engaged in this sort of inquiry and listening to this sort of lecture, I assume that you're all on the process of waking up. Or else you're teasing yourselves with some kind of flirtation with waking up, which you're not serious about. But I assume maybe you are, not serious but sincere, that you are ready to wake up. So then, when you're in the way of waking up and finding out who you really are, what you do is what the whole universe is doing at the place you call here and now. You are something the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. The real you is not a puppet which life pushes around. The real deep down you is the whole universe. So then, when you die, you're not going to have to put up with everlasting non-existence, because that's not an experience. A lot of people are afraid that when they die, they're going to be locked up in a dark room forever. And sort of undergo that. But one of the most interesting things in the world, this is a yoga, this is a way of realization. Try and imagine what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Think about that. Children think about it. It's one of the great wonders of life. What will it be like to go to sleep and never wake up? And if you think long enough about that, something will happen to you. You will find out, among other things, that it'll pose the next question to you. What was it like to wake up after having never gone to sleep? That was when you were born. You see, you can't have an experience of nothing. Nature abhors a vacuum. So after you're dead, the only thing that can happen is the same experience, or the same sort of experience as when you were born. In other words, we all know very well that after people die, other people are born. And they're all you. Only you can only experience it one at a time. Everybody is I. You all know you're you. And wheresoever beings exist throughout all galaxies, it doesn't make any difference. You are all of them. And when they come into being, that's you coming into being. You know that very well. Only you don't have to remember the past in the same way you don't have to think about how you work your thyroid gland or whatever else it is in your organism. You don't have to know how to shine the sun. You just do it. Like you breathe. Doesn't it really astonish you that you are this fantastically complex thing? And that you're doing all of this and you never had any education in how to do it?
Thank you very much, Patricia. What I'm going to do, I propose now a 10-minute comfort break. And I will see you in 10 minutes. And take this time, take what we just heard. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Thank you. I will just mute my camera and, I'll mute my microphone and turn off my camera. But I will be here. And if you do have any questions, just drop them in the chat. Yeah, see you in 10 minutes. Thank you very much. Hello, welcome all back. Just before our comfort break, hello, thank you for the hearts, and it's good to see that you're back. If you can just please type in the chat box, thank you, Romeo, whether by listening to the source of lecture by the philosopher Alan Watts, something deeper resonated with you. It would be good to see that in the chat. So if something deeper resonated with you, please, if you can type yes, and if no, just feel free to say no. So I can get an idea whether this has been helpful in placing it in a broader context. And the idea for that is, it's by listening to Alan Watts, what we do with international criminal law, we shift the gravity from what we believe about ourselves and how we operate to something greater than us, which is about when you speak on behalf of someone, when you speak the truth, when you speak about justice and accountability. So it's all that, but it's not just in your lifetime, because what we do, it echoes in the years to follow. And in that context, and whether this sort of lecture from Alan Watts resonated with you, I also came to realize that it is not enough just simply practicing international criminal law. I also felt a duty to educate and prepare the next generation of ICL lawyers, lawyers that will stand for human rights, the rule of law, democracy, and peace. If you can please, Patricia, turn to the next slide. And with that conviction, which is precisely what I also prepared this series of How to Become International Criminal Lawyer, an initiative in collaboration with the Young International Criminal Lawyers and the International Legal Studies of University of the Philippines, which I am deeply grateful for organizing this, these various elements in organizing something. I'm very grateful. But I also generally believe that this is not an end, rather it's the beginning of something far more profound that would evolve in the year to come. So if you have any ideas about how to educate, and if I may share a personal story, when I was 26 years old, when I started the case of Sudan, now in October 2025, the case of Abdurrahman, also known as Ali Kushab, has been concluded. So he's been convicted. I think there is an appeal, but I mean the first limb of it has been concluded. I was very grateful to, back then he was Queen's Counsel, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I was Magistrates Court cross-examining in domestic violence case, and he had a case, and we've met, and I said to him, I've got this case with the ICC, I'm not sure how to do it. So he's like, okay, let's meet in Sloane Square in London. So this is a nice place in London. So we met there. We had lunch, and he said to me, I will help you. I don't want my name to appear anywhere. You know, just go for it, and I will be behind you, just helping you out. And sadly, actually, I think we had maybe 4 lunches, which he also insisted to pay every single time. He said that he's too old to change habits, and his name is Sir Desmond de Silva. So he was instructed by the Qatar government to help on international. So he went there, and sadly he passed away during a heart surgery. But in one of our lunches that we had, I would never forget it. He said to me that one day you will do the same. One day you will help young lawyers to speak on behalf of others. And I never forgot that. So I'm truly grateful to Sir Desmond de Silva, and still today I remember him and how he guided me. He was an excellent criminal lawyer, and I think he was also the prosecutor in the case, the High Court of Sierra Leone. But as always, this is not just a single person's ideas or thoughts or the ways. It's about connecting and creating a community. So I've put here my email, so please make a note. Feel free to reach out. Any ideas? It's about connecting and finding ways. And before I get into the main body of this workshop, I'm going to share with you another story. If I'm not mistaken, I was pregnant to my second daughter, and it was when the coup of the Taliban regime took over in Afghanistan, and there were human rights defenders, judges, and lawyers and activists that they believed in democracy and rule of law, and they became an immediate target for the Taliban regime. And myself, amongst other international criminal lawyers, we tried and chartered flights and appointed a personal military to escort them, to get them out of the country, along with diplomatic agreements that there were with countries for them to be taking. I had to give birth, so I had to step out of this case to be with my children, but the entire idea of making sure that those human rights defenders, whether it's lawyers, judges, human rights activists, it just grew because of people like you. You know, we got together through secure networks, and we said that we really got to do something about it. We need to get them out of them and make sure that, you know, they continue to speak up. So this is the power of how one individual, how when we all group together, beautiful things can happen. And if I can ask you, Patricia, to turn to the next slide, please. Just let me know if you made a note of my email. I'll be very grateful if you can say yes. And you may actually need my email, because soon we'll be publishing my book of how to become an international criminal lawyer. I am currently looking for someone to do a second pair of eyes. That's what 2PE stands for, second pair of eyes. And also someone who reads it to provide a reference as well. So the more references, the better it is. For whether it's a student or a lawyer switching careers, or someone, a student, a school that they're interested, maybe trying to understand this area of law. So anyone who's interested and has got fluency in English, I will be very happy to do the second pair of eyes. And it's about 150 pages. It's a practical book, and divided in two main chapters, which is the map and the direction. I don't know when, but I will. So what I would do, with your permission, I will get your emails and I would include it in the list that we currently have for the book launch, so you're aware, so we can send you all the information when that happens. I'm not even sure if this is going to be the cover, but I'm getting there. Yes, so thank you. So thank you, Kimmy. And if I can please ask you to turn to the next slide, please. So, what is international criminal law? I want all of you, please, to write one word of what you believe international criminal law is. So, what do you think ICL is? And I'm very curious to see what words they will pop up in the chat box. Although I suspect what words would be, which is the ones that accountability, I can see absolutely, and justice. Universal, I like that, and I will be mentioning universal jurisdiction as well. Law against crime, cooperation, yes, that's another aspect. Reparations, yes, Kimmy, that's a huge, with ICC as well, reparations. Accountability, absolutely. Expedient, Jenna, nice one. Oh, politics. I want to know a bit more, Danica. What do you mean by politics? Unity, yes, check, absolutely. International. That's a cheeky one, yes, but it is, isn't it? That's the idea. Yes, legal discipline, absolutely, a lot of great. Yep. Equity. Oh, yeah, may well be certain aspect of it. Protection. Yes, ideally you would want protection as well. Now in practice, that's a different conversation. Liability, humanity. Yep. Victim-centric approach. Yes. I mean, there's been huge discussions about that. Branch of public international law, yes. Redress, culpability, hope, yes, and justice. Transitional. Yep. It is, isn't it? Once the complementarity principle has been fulfilled, then it becomes transitional. Okay, so it is indeed all those things that you've mentioned. And if I can ask, please, Patricia, to turn to the next PowerPoint slide. And so it's all those things that you've said, and specifically, it is the body of law that establishes individual criminal responsibility for the most serious crimes of concern to the international community as a whole. It does reflect a profound moral and legal commitment, in the sense that even the most powerful individuals cannot escape accountability for actions that shock the conscience of humanity. And I've touched upon this, just naming it, that ICL rests upon two fundamental principles. And I've seen that a lot of you wrote when I asked you what you believe ICL is in one word. Accountability is one of them, which means that no one is above the law. And the second principle, fundamental principle, it's fairness, that every accused deserves due process, equality before the law, and protection of the rights. So do you see every keyword that you've typed in, we can see them, that it is reflected some sort in this definition. Now, yes, so ICL revolves around 4 core crimes, and they've been codified in the Rome Statute. It is the genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. Now, those crimes that constitute the gravest violation of human dignity, peace, and the rule of law, and they're forming the foundation upon which this discipline rests, this legal discipline. As I said earlier, I do not intend to deliver a lecture on the introduction of the Rome Statute crimes or the international criminal law, rather than the aim here is to give you a flavour of what it's about, so you may grasp the essence altogether. But understanding the core crimes, not merely as an academic exercise, but a bit more than that, it is fundamental for you who may wish to pursue an international criminal career and aspires to become an international criminal lawyer. And I thought, in preparation of this workshop, I thought if one does not somehow comprehend what ICL seeks to achieve or how it operates, one cannot hope to navigate or advocate or defend within this demanding and morally consequential field. So what I'm going to do, so Patricia, if you click on the next slide, I think it's the core crimes that begin. Yes, okay. Yeah, so we have, so what I want to do before, and it's going to be very, very briefly, we're just going to go through the main 4 core crimes, and there is a reason I'm doing that. But if you do have any questions, just let me know. But just I want you to get the flavour. Now, the first one, it's the crime of genocide. And genocide is defined as acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, or racial or religious group. And the acts also include killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm, inflicting destructive living conditions, preventing births, and forcibly transferring children. And we've got the definition under the Genocide Convention shortly after the Second World War in the Nuremberg Trial in 1948. And what this convention did, it marked the first binding international legal framework for criminalizing genocide. After that, we've got the Rome Statute that came into force in 2002. And the Rome Statute, apart from the fact that it codifies the 4 core crimes, it established, so it gave birth as well to the ICC. And it gave birth to the ICC with a mandate to prosecute for those core crimes. And as we said in the definition, or trying to conceptualize what ICL is, the ICC emphasizes on individual criminal responsibility rather than the state liability, which is what we see with the ICJ. Now, Article 6 of the Rome Statute, it mirrors the Genocide Convention definition with some additional clarity on the modes of liability. And I think I've got some cases there, but I wish if you can, please just type in the chat box any genocide cases that you are aware, and it can be something that has been done in the past. It can be a case that perpetrators have been convicted, or they may not have been convicted. They may not even have it may not even have been a trial, so it's a historic one, or it can be ongoing. And I'm curious to see what situations you're going to refer. And, feel free, this is a workshop, educational purposes, so you can type what you believe. I'm asking for a personal reflection of what you're aware of, so feel free to type. So we're talking about genocide. Yeah, Gambia, Myanmar, absolutely. Sudan, yep. Rwanda, yes. Okay, yes, which we're gonna briefly mention that. Yes, the Myanmar, the minority of Rohingya, under the regime of Aung San Suu Kyi, the Prime Minister, yes. I think there is current cases with the ICC as well, so it kind of triggers its jurisdiction when they deported them in an island in Bangladesh. So that's about the jurisdictional DRC, Palestine, absolutely, yeah. And yes, so it's that, but I've also mentioned historic. We've got the Armenian genocide, we've got the Congo that happened during the Leopold's time of reign, but we see none of the genocidal Gaza Strip, yes, and not just Gaza Strip, yes, there is Serbia, there's the Srebrenica, yes, massacre and genocide, yes, absolutely. I was just telling to Attorney Kaye Pasoyo, I skipped my mind, so it's the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and another part, yes. No, great to hear. And also there, as I mentioned, there's the historical ones, but there is something that we should take from all this, there is ongoing, those historical ones, but none of the genocides have been successful. None of the genocidal campaigns and actively pursuing genocidal regimes have been successful, which when perpetrators then embark on genocidal regimes, is not just about eliminating, but it's also about completely eradicating, as the definition says, to destroy in whole or in part. Absolutely, special intent is difficult to prove. You're referring to dolo specialis, yes. Yes, yes. But as I said earlier, that we're not going to really dive into we're not even going to touch the surface of any of this. I just want you to kind of get the feeling as to what it is, and the seriousness, really, because you're talking really sometimes on behalf of a nation, of a group of national, ethnic, racial, religious group. So there is a great sense of responsibility. And I've got some case law examples as well. You've mentioned all of them, actually. The Sudan case, who mentioned the Sudan case? Collins, yes, Tabot mentioned it. So we had a conviction, but it's still ongoing, and it's the case of the dictator Omar al-Bashir. He was the president, and he's been indicted for genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. And I'm afraid that it's still ongoing. And I just one more point here about the genocide, and which is something that applies to all the crimes, is that enforcement. How do you enforce an arrest warrant? How do you enforce once you have a referral from one state party to a non-state party about a genocide, war crimes or crimes against humanity? How to enforce that? So the enforcement is such a it's such a part of the ICL, and it may well be that you're the ones who's going to figure this out with suggestions. There have been ongoing discussions about it, whether they need to have its own army under the United Nations, under its own, but if you do so, how do you maintain the balance and the balance of powers? But again, I'm not going to be dealing with enforcement, but it does remain an unresolved matter. So you have the ICC. Normally in a country you have the police that would go and execute and enforce the arrest warrant, or you would go to court, you go to the police station, give your statements. I mean, how do you enforce? If you've got any ideas, I would be very, very obliged if you can write any ideas of how you believe we should be enforcing international criminal law. Okay, if I can please ask you now to turn to the second crime. I think the second one should be the war crimes. There we are, yes. So the second core crime, it is the war crimes, and war crimes are serious violations of the laws and customs of war committed during armed conflict, so whether it is international or non-international. Examples include murder, torture, taking hostages, targeting civilians, using prohibited weapons, and attacking humanitarian personnel or objects. The key is that these acts violate established rules of warfare, regardless of the outcome of the conflict. The legal framework will be the Geneva Conventions and the additional protocols, which they define the protections for civilians, prisoners of war, and the wounded. Violations can constitute war crimes. The Rome Statute codifies the war crime in Article 8, including both international and non-international armed conflicts. And of course, we've got customary international law, so many war crimes are binding even on states that have not ratified the Rome Statute under the customary international law. And again, I will ask you if you can write in the chat box any situations, any countries that you know that war crimes have been committed. It could be historic ones, it could be ongoing. And I think I do have, let me just check my slides. I mentioned some of them here. The recent one, Joseph Kony. Yep. Yes, Tokyo, Nuremberg, absolutely. Enforcement on the ground level is really difficult to implement in most cases, unfortunately. Yep, absolutely. Milosevic case, yes. Yes, Philippines is currently with the ICC. Jenna Bueno, yes, absolutely. Yes. I'm afraid to say that I haven't read too much about the Philippines, but we're going to go through the ICC's website shortly, and you'll be able to see the live cases and all that. And And I mean, if we set aside the legal preparation that you got to do, which, you know, you may be dealing with, I don't know, a ground of appeal, which can take you ages just to get it drafted and cross-checked and referenced. And then it's just the factual background, the historical background, and it takes a lot of time. So there's one thing, it just keeps me very humble, is that I think day by day, I feel I know less and less, to be honest. And I don't know, it's just, you just realize that you've got to listen. Ukraine, yes, absolutely, slavery, yes. And we're going to see a bit later on that there's currently an inquiry to deal with the crime of aggression, which is Article 8 bis of the Rome Statute. War crimes differ from genocide and crimes against humanity in that they require the context of armed conflict. They protect civilians, known combatants, and cultural property from the excesses of war. And again, enforcement, it's another issue. So if we're talking about the cultural properties and destruction and all that, it remains an issue about enforcement there, and ensuring that perpetrators are held accountable in all levels. And moving now, if I can please ask you, Patricia, to turn to the third core crime, which is the crimes against humanity. Yes, thank you, Patricia. Yes, so crimes against humanity. Sorry, excuse me. So it's about the widespread or systematic attack delivered against any civilian population. Crimes against humanity also include murder, extermination, enslavement, deportation, torture, sexual violence, persecution, and forced disappearance, appetite, and other inhuman acts. Now, unlike genocide, the crimes against humanity, there is no requirement that the act targets a specific protected group, and that's the main difference. And I don't remember who said it in the chat box that it requires a special intent dollar specialis, which it's so perhaps the threshold, if I may say so, in crimes against humanity is a bit slower to prove that. So the focus here with the crimes against humanity is on the scale and the systematic nature of the attack. And of course, it's been codified. It's Article 7 and 8, the crimes against humanity. We've got customary international law. And yes, if you want to mention, I've got a few cases there. If you want just to mention a few examples of crimes against humanity. I've got here the ICTY 2001 with the Bosnian War, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Lubanga case, and of course there are ongoing cases with systematic attacks such as Syria, Myanmar, and Sudan. I'm just going to check the chat box to see if there is. I'm reading now Xavi Dugar's comment for Philippines. Rodrigo Duterte, confirmation of the charges is still pending. Okay. And it's also the case for crime against humanity. Yeah, okay. So there needs to be confirmation of charges. Do we have a date for that? We can check it now because I'm going to be taking you through the ICC's website and other websites as well. And what I'm curious as well, I mean, they have 60 days. I see, okay. For the pre-trial chamber, is it to set a date for the confirmation of charges? Yeah, we're going to go through that in a bit. We can see that a bit more. I'm actually curious to read a bit more about it. So where were we? So yes, so we were at the third core crime, which is the crimes against humanity. And now I'm going to move to the last core crime, which is added in 2010. So obviously it's a bit later on in the ICC's life that the crime progression was added. So Patricia, if I may kindly ask you to just turn to the next slide. So if you turn to the crime of aggression, perfect. Thank you. So the crime of aggression is the planning, the preparation, initiation of execution of an act of using armed force by state against the sovereignty, territorial integrity, or political independence of another state in violation of the United Nations Charter. It is distinct from the war crimes or crimes against humanity because it focuses on the illegal initiation of conflict rather than the conduct during the conflict. So it's been added later on, so that will be Article 8 bis, which defines the crime of aggression and limits ICC jurisdiction to acts of aggression committed by individuals who are leaders or those in a position to exercise control of the political or military action of a state. I mentioned the UN Charter, which prohibits the use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. And of course, as I said, that the ICC has now jurisdiction over the crime of aggression. About the crime of aggression, no leader has yet been convicted by the ICC for this crime, although the investigations and preparatory studies do exist. Now, the crime has been historically prosecuted in concepts similar to aggression in the Nuremberg trials, where leaders were held accountable for the crimes against peace. I think Salome mentioned in the chat about Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine, and contemporary debates involved around the state of Russia, highlighting the ongoing relevance of defining and prosecuting the aggression in international law. So those are the 4 core crimes. I just want to find out from you, and this is helpful for me in the future as well. Did you find helpful to go through the core crimes? Or if you did find it helpful, now we're going to start building upon how to pursue it, and whether, the Rome Statute crimes is the only ICL matter to address. But did you find helpful to just briefly go the Rome Statute crimes? If you found this helpful, please say yes. If you didn't, please again say no. If you found that to be, unnecessary. So just feel free to just let me know. So it's good to know. A good refresher. Okay. You seem to all be content with it. Okay. Yes, so you're all saying yes. If anyone is to a no of it, we are lawyers here. We're more than welcome to listening. It's great. So feel free to say so. Okay. So Patricia, can I please ask you now to turn to the next slide? And my question to you, so this is a different question. Do you believe that ICL, it's only about the Rome Statute crimes? So do you believe that ICL, it's only about those crimes? No. Okay. Yes, and we're going to go through all this. Now, great to see that. Okay, so it's great. So we've got a good starting point here. But what it is helpful, and you're right, it's not just about the Rome Statute crimes. But for now, I just wanted to concentrate which courts are prosecuting Rome Statute crimes. So we have the Hello, can you hear me and see me?
Yes, Diane.
Did it just kick me out?
Yeah, I think you got disconnected.
Yes, I mean I was talking for a bit and then I said I asked the question and then I was looking for the chat and then I realized. Okay, may I ask? I don't know where until which point you've heard. So perhaps in the so I've joined first of all from the phone because apparently there's an issue with my laptop. But I am absolutely grateful that it's not happening during a hearing or an urgent application, and it's in a workshop, which is a bit at least it happened. This technical problem with at this point. I know, but apologies for the inconvenience. If I can please ask, okay, so I can see Danielle. It says, is ICJ only for Rome Statute crimes? The part where ICO is just about Rome Statute crimes. Okay, I'm just going to take that from the start then, which is, I think you all said that it is not just about the Rome Statute crimes, and you're all right about it. That that international criminal law does not begin with the in 2002 with the genesis of the ICC, and it does not end most certainly with the ICC. Before the ICC tribunal for former Yugoslavia, we had the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, which shaped indeed very much the jurisprudence that we rely today on genocide, command responsibility, joint criminal enterprise, and sexual violence in armed conflict. We also saw hybrid tribunals such as the Special Court for Sierra Leone, which they combined both the international and domestic elements. Okay. And I would ask for all of you actually to make a note of all these courts, because I'm going to be giving you some sort of an exercise a bit later on about these courts, and help you to shape your career. And I think the very small prints on my phone, and I know most likely it's got the Permanent International Court, which is the ICC, the ICJ, and I was referring then. So if I can please ask you, Patricia, to turn to the next slide. Perfect, yes. So this is the ones I've been referring now. So yes, so we were, where did we stop? Yeah, okay. Patricia, can you just click on the next slide, because I was referring to the next slide, and then if you can, once I'm done with this, if you can go back to the previous one. Sorry for the mix up. Thank you. And we also saw the hybrid courts, such as the Special Courts for Sierra Leone, which they combine both domestic and international elements. And we've got the extraordinary chambers in the courts of Cambodia. So institutionally, international criminal law, it extends really beyond the ICC. So it exists in multiple levels, whether it is the international, hybrid, or domestic. And it also exists through the universal jurisdiction. And this is the point I realized I got cut off, because I was going to ask you if you do know what universal jurisdiction is. If you do know, type yes. If you don't know, type no. So so the fact that the ICC extends, or the ICO extends beyond its institutional aspect of ICC, and universal jurisdiction, we see it actually in national courts. I can see lots of yeses popping up on my phone, so that's great. Thank you. But the scope of ICO goes even further than that. The international criminal law, it involves organically and involves through academic scholarship, through UN debates, through civil society advocacy, and through state practice. And universal jurisdiction is one of those things that they evolved organically. And we've seen some jurisdictions that they've been favoring universal jurisdiction, which means international crimes such as genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, they will be prosecuted once they're made aware, for example, that perpetrators coming to that country. There's going to be an application at the police. Most likely you will have to liaise with a lawyer from that jurisdiction, and you prepare submissions to the police to start initiating and bringing a prima facie case before its national court. So this is what we call universal jurisdiction, because although the crime did not happen in that jurisdiction, let's say, for example, Germany, they still would use the universal jurisdiction principle to prosecute for those crimes. So we see that it evolves organically, and this is something that we also, and that's why I said that make a note of all of the website I said earlier, to keep yourselves aware of what's happening, and maybe you can even make the international community aware for any suggestions you may have. I just explained what universal jurisdiction is. I saw one no. If you still is not clear what a universal jurisdiction is, you made a note of my email, just drop me a line and I can send you perhaps some articles to read about it. But we don't really have time to go in much more detail about universal jurisdiction, as well as with the Rome Statute crimes and really with any case law. So as I said, ICL is constantly developing, and ICL also includes advisory and policy work, and many practitioners actually in this field, they're not all the day in court unless you're practicing in your home jurisdiction crime, which is what I did for many years. I was doing, morning was domestic work in the crime course, and in the afternoon, preparing, let's say, submissions or whatever for international criminal work, unless a case becomes alive. So, for example, the Sudan case I worked for about 4 years preparing victim applications, and it became live at a point that he was arrested, Abdurrahman. And also drafting UN bodies. So this is another way of doing advisory work. So that's the ICL. So which one do we have? Can you go in the slide before? Yes, so I mentioned here, which one is it? Yes, so you can see that what I did here, I just listed all hybrid or ad hoc tribunals. And if you want me to send you the PowerPoint slides, let me know. I will send those over to young lawyers, young international criminal lawyers, and also the International Legal Studies of University of Philippines for it to be forwarded, because I want you to have this list, because we're going to do some of it. But, make notes if you want to, but do know that I'm going to send this over. So having those courts is one thing, but another aspect of it is that organizations such as Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, International Federation of Human Rights, the Coalition of International Criminal Court, they all play a significant role in documenting atrocities, supporting victims, and shaping accountability. Now, ICL also has this investigative element. So international crimes that require complex investigations in building a prima facie case, which involves forensic analysis, witness testimony, digital evidence, satellite images, which is an increasingly open source intelligence. And I can't stress this enough, how with the AI, the evidential part of building of, whether if you're a defense, you would argue that there is no, if you do believe there is no grounds to fulfill the prima facie element of it. Because I know that some of you're just law students, so if any of this you think, I don't know what prima facie is, let me know, because I definitely do not want you to leave from here thinking I was lost or I didn't know what she was talking about. Yeah, so hands up if you feel that I'm saying stuff that you don't understand. So today, artificial intelligence is becoming part of the investigative framework. And AI, what it does, it analyzes large databases, it detects patterns of violence, it authenticates the digital material, but it also raises serious legal questions about reliability, yes, about deepfakes, and about the admissibility of algorithmic evidence before international tribunals. And I was actually involved in a domestic British matter about this algorithmic evidence, and that shows you the extent of, which is what I said earlier. You do feel sometimes like you don't know much, and it keeps you very humble, because even the judge that dealt with it, he literally came inside with clean hands, saying that you really have to educate me on this. I don't know anything about algorithms, so we got to really take it from the very start. And sometimes that is the best way to really get to the core of it. So international criminal law does intersect with technology law, evidence law in profound ways. It also intersects with environmental law, corporate accountability, arbitration mechanisms. We've got the Hague Academy right next to the ICJ, environmental disputes, the cyber warfare. We've got autonomous weapons systems now. We've seen the drones attacks. I'm currently based in Cyprus, so we were subject to a drone attack in the British military bases that the Britain keeps here in Cyprus, one in Akonatiri and one in Derinya. So it's part of the life, and it's not just that. It's not just the autonomous weapons. It's also space law. Particularly when we consider the militarization of satellites and even outer space. So there is space law, and actually the first time I came across it is when I presented a paper, I think in South Africa, with other international criminal lawyers, and there was this committee about space law, and I found it to be so interesting, but at that point I failed to see the relevance in today's world. And today, going back to that committee, which I just sat down and I heard about the orbits and all sorts of things, I realized that actually, space law, it will become something very, very relevant. As I said, militarization of satellites is such a it impacts as well the evidential part of it, the evidential law of international criminal law. So we see that ICL is stretching into new domains. And Patricia, can I please ask you to click to the next pages, please? To the next slide. Pause there for a bit. Yeah, so yes, okay, leave that there. I'm going to go to the last 3 bullet points that I've got there. But so we see that ICL is stretching into new domains because conflict itself is changing. And international criminal law, what it does, it really includes representing accused persons, representing victims, it includes reparations, and this is all words that you mentioned, includes working with the ICC, serving UN investigative mechanism, working in arbitration, academia, or NGO. So it's a multi-dimensional field. So when I return back to my original question, is international criminal law only about the Rome Statute crimes? The answer is no, it is not just about the Rome Statute crimes. Now, Rome Statute does provide for a foundation, it provides for structure, codification, but ICO is much broader. It is institutional, it is normative, it is investigative, it is advisory, it is technological, it is evolving. And it cannot it most certainly cannot be confined in a courtroom in The Hague. I just want to see. Okay, so it's 1 o'clock already. Here. Let me just check with my slides here. So as I said earlier, we provide, so the idea is that okay, I'm going to make this final point and then we take a comfort break, 10 minutes, is that although it is not just about the Rome Statute crimes, you're going to have this list of international, which is the permanent courts, the hybrid courts, the ad hoc tribunals, and also, if you can see in the PowerPoint that I've got you, the last 3 bullet points, I'm also giving you regional human rights court, which sometimes there is an overlap with ICL principles. So of course we've got the European Court of Human Rights, the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, the African Court on Human and People Rights. And you make this note, and if I can please ask you, Patricia, to turn to the next slide. We also have special mechanisms and commission inquiries. So those are not formal courts, but nevertheless, what they do, they often lay the groundwork for prosecutions. And we've got the UN Commission of Inquiry for Syria, Myanmar, and Ukraine. And we also got special investigative mechanisms for Syria. So I'm going to send you the slides, but also make a note of it. So what you would want to do, yes, Efelinsa, I would definitely share those slides, because what I want you to do, it's take each and every court, go to the website. Some of them, they still have the mandate. I think, which one is it? The Cambodian one until 2027 to deal with the archives and with a witness statement to kind of close things down. So I just put all of it because you're going to have to cross-check with those courts, and you're going to go on the website, and there is a part of it that's got vacancies, and there is another part to be in the list of counsel, and this is something you would want to do, and we're going to go through that in a bit. So I think this is going to be a good time for a comfort break. And I just can't believe that 2 hours is already gone. Time flies when you talk about international criminal law. Oh, I can see we've got one message. Yes, yes, absolutely. I can't see it from my phone; it just disappeared. But please feel free to ask.
Actually, I wanted to ask about, as ICC was founded in 2002, and why there was a need for the regional tribunals after that. I saw that in the previous slide, like there was a tribunal in Lebanon. So it was hybrid tribunal. It was established in, I think, 2007. And there was another in, I guess, Africa, which was established in 2013, if I am not wrong. It was in Senegal. So I'm curious to know if ICC was there, so why there was need for the regional tribunals. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. So I think with ICL, what you would come across a lot of times, there is the jurisdictional constraints. The jurisdictional constraints, that's the one thing. The second thing, a lot of times there are political restraints. Thirdly, you would see that maybe the region that the crimes were committed does not fall within the ICC's jurisdiction. And Lebanon is not a party to the Rome Statute, although someone, like it happened with Sudan, it can refer to United Nations. So I think my initial thought would be that that's going to be the case, that you didn't have jurisdiction, such as the fact that we're doing now. You've seen that there is this commission inquiry about Russia for crime of aggression, and instead of having it dealt with the ICC, we've seen that there is an inquiry. So I think there is this flux, this flexibility in the ICL, that despite the hurdles that you come across, whether it's about political sensitivity or whether it's about practical issues that you deal with, what I came across with other lawyers is that there is always trying to find ways around it to make sure that they don't go unpunished. But yes, so that's about it. And I can see that there are more questions. I didn't know that you can pop up and ask questions. That's lovely, actually. I think there is let me just go to the chat. Or is it Diane? I'm curious about one thing. Okay, so Mohammed, you've asked the question. So Colin Steiner, I would like to reach out to you after the session. Absolutely, I gave my email. Feel free to drop me a text. Romeo, hi, just want to ask, are the violations under international humanitarian law punishable under? Yes, some of them. There is an overlap. Yes. Mohammed, thank you for the amazing answer. I'm not sure if it's amazing, but I mean, you will find ways, you will find a lot of hurdles during your career, and sometimes it's just, other reasons, whether it is greed or power or the need to maintain power for whatever reason. So, yes, we need to be able to see through that with the power of law, with the power of human rights and dignity and a fair trial, but nevertheless make sure that those matters are brought into light, because I think eventually it's only light that can save us. Okay, thank you. Now, I'm going to be, I'm just going to get for myself a glass of water, but I'm going to be on my desk. So even during those 10 minutes, you want to ask me questions, feel free to do so. I am literally here those 3 hours for you. It is dedicated to you and each and every question you have for me. So feel free to do so. Let's say 10 minutes for a comfort break. Refresh yourselves, and I will see you. What's the time? So I've got 1:10. So shall we say 20 past 1? So 10 minutes. I will be here. I'm just grabbing a glass of water, and I'll see you 10 minutes. Thank you very much. you all had a comfort break. If I can please see thumbs up that you're all back. And whilst we were having the 10-minute comfort break, I had a few questions on the chat box, which I replied to them. But if you want to discuss anything further, as I said, you got my email, feel free to do so. And I'm accessible on all social media platforms. So you can reach out. It's with my name, Diana Constantinide, including Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, YouTube. I think I'm on all social media platforms, and doing my duty to speak up on things. Yes, so I've addressed all the questions. I don't think there is anything pending. I do appreciate and understand that it's not in detail, but we're going to go through to some of. There's one question about culture, heritage, environmental, which this is what we're going to do. But before I move from this slide, if you see at the very bottom, the final point, I just made this very brief, very laconic point, which is in addition, truth commissions. Now, I think there have been so far maybe 49 truth commission worldwide. And what I would urge you to do, for example, the Canadian Truth Commission has its website. I don't know if all of them have a website, but maybe what you can do, in addition to the courts that I mentioned, go to the Truth Commission's website. And a lot of them, they may require, not a lot of them, you're going to have to do that, because I'm afraid that the Truth Commissions, they've got very specific mandates, and whether there's something you can get out of it. But if I may also add about the Truth Commission, myself, I am involved now in establishing and creating a Truth Commission in Cyprus. Now, Cyprus, in its entirety, it's a country that has been invaded in 1974 by Turkey, and it's been divided ever since. So we have the green line. It's been green because the way that the guarantor powers with the Zurich and London agreement, they drew on dividing the islands. They used apparently a green pen, so it's called the green line. There is the buffer zone whereby the United Nations are, and it separates the north from the south. Now, those are the events of 1963 and 1974. And speaking and working with other human rights, with specifically one human rights lawyer here in Cyprus, speaking about Truth Commission, I may be putting a footnote here, but advocating about it, speaking to United Nations, and all the intricalities and the details that comes with it. It is indeed a journey that is very much needed for the process of healing. And soon I will have an article written about it with another lawyer. But that gets to show you that you may be needed in another Truth Commission or even in this one. So go and check out, and it's a great form of experience as well, and it's also falls within the greater scope, as we said, with international criminal law. So go and check the Truth Commissions. Now, I mentioned Truth Commissions. I should have put maybe and reconciliation. It's just here in Cyprus we're not going to use the reconciliation because we're currently in a ceasefire agreement. So because it's a ceasefire agreement, we're not discussing about reconciliation, but only about hearing from witnesses, with amnesty granted by both communities, and trying to speak up as to what happened and trying to find the truth. So that's about the Truth Commission. And if I can please ask you, Patricia, to change to the next slide. So make note, because those are all the exercises that you've got to do. Yes, so far you've got 2, the courts and the Truth Commissions. Yes, we've done this, Patricia. It's whether you believe it's the ICO is only about Rome Statute crimes. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to give you specific directions about holistically about ICL. And I can't remember who asked me about culture, heritage, and environmental law, and I would deal with that. But yes, transformation of evidence gathering. We've briefly touched upon that, and And now, so as you can see, I've got a few websites here. I don't know how we're going to do this, Patricia, but what I want to all participants to see, because I want them to see a bit the website here. Is it possible to click on it?
Just like one by one, or
Yes, one by one, and I will tell you when we move to the next one.
okay, I'll just reshare my screen.
Yes, absolutely. So whilst Patricia is doing that, so the point number one that now we are discussing about, that is not just about Rome Statute crimes, we're dealing with the evidence gathering. So there is the traditional model of international criminal investigation, which relies heavily actually on witness testimony, forensic teams. And you would see a lot of the times it's even about state cooperation, and lots of times states do not want to cooperate. This is where the aspect of politics come into place. However, investigations increasingly rely on satellite image, open source intelligence, and AI system verification to analyze digital evidence in real time. Now, there are civil society organizations, which is some of them I'm putting into this PowerPoint slide. And the first example I'm using, I think this one, it's the Syria Justice and Accountability Center. Sorry, I can't see, it's on my phone. Yeah, that should be it, yes. So what I would urge you to do, I will just show you the website, but this is the third exercise that you got to do. All those websites, but do not feel limited that this is the only ones that you have to go through and look at. You know, go through, do your research, read, and there may be reference to something more. But the Syria Justice and Accountability Center gathers and preserves documentation related to crimes committed during the Syrian conflict. So that's number one. And actually, there is a lot of those investigative civil society organizations for all situations. I'm just using some examples. Nearly for all situations, there will be an evidence gathering civil society. So this will be exercise number 3, you know, enlist it, find it, look at it, or perhaps you can narrow it down with what you would want to see the time of your life to be spent in it, and a cause that you may feel is closer to yourself. So Patricia, if you can go to the next website, it is, I think it should be the Truth Hounds. So the Truth Hounds, thank you very much. I think this is the one. Yes, there we are. Truth Hounds, they conduct actually field missions and digital investigations documenting war crimes, and particularly in Eastern Europe. And I mean, I've met a few intermediaries, and the work that they do, it is truly inspiring. The next one, it's Violations Documentation Center. And now you've got the Conflict Observatory, is it? Okay, it's the chemical violations that's obviously about 5 years ago in Syria. And that's another one that they're documenting. So you will see very fine videos, the mapping of the destruction, the effect of it, forensic evidence. Sometimes you've got specialists and experts. Yeah. Yes, and actually latest news. You should check the latest news and events. And myself, to be very frank with you, when I started at this point of my career, I don't really need to do that, because you set up your network so people will reach out and they will instruct you. But early on in my career, I would just, you know, drop an email. Myself, I will make sure that if I could, I will attend. Initially, I traveled a lot. I will go in and meet people, and that really helps, because with international law, they feel more comfortable once they put a face and they can trust. I think trust is such an important element. Whether you know, whether they're reaching out to me about a Cypriot matter, or about a British matter, or about an international matter, you know, is to make an evaluation whether you have the professional capacity to deal with it. And sometimes you have to be honest and say, you know, this exceeds my capacity or even my capability, and I will need you to instruct a lead counsel this. And we will go through the list of councils later on. But this about the evidence gathering, which a lot of ICL lawyers, they even start like this, or they worked in this, and they really get a good exposure about evidence gathering and how much goes into it. But as I said, and I will repeat this, there's just too many. I'm just using just for brief examples here, but do your own research and getting more about evidence gathering. Okay, so that's about the evidence gathering. The second one, so Patricia, if you can go, thank you so much for clicking on the website. So if you can go back to the PowerPoint slide, I'm gonna, thank you very much. Yes. So this was a question in the chat as well. And do you know what an ecosite is? Oh, and I can see Patricia shared their websites. Thank you very much in the chat. Perfect. So this second aspect that I would say of ICL, it is the growing environmental crisis that has generated calls to reconsider the scope of the Rome Statute and to potentially include the crime of ecocide. There is a huge debate, and actually last week I was in a call with professors about it. The crime of ecocide, whether we should amend the Rome Statute, whether it should be on its own and dealt as a separate tribunal, or you know, there were a number of suggestions. So it is interesting, and how far would it be defined? But the current framework of international criminal law addresses environmental distraction. That's why there is this need for introduction of a new crime, perhaps, because the ICC only accepts it in limited circumstances and primarily as a war crime. And I think someone asked the question. So we've got the Mali case, isn't it, Ahmed? So he destroyed 9 mausoleums, and that was for culture and heritage damage. But the large-scale environmental devastation can actually threaten the ecosystems, livelihoods, and even the survival of entire populations. And as a result, scholars, as I said last week, I had a conversation with 2 professors, and activists have increasingly argued that ecocide should be recognised as a 5th international crime. So to amend essentially the Rome Statute and include it as a 5th court crime. And I have here in my slides for ecocide, which is a website I would urge you to go through it and look at it and use it as a starting point for more information. But actually, this is a website that I follow as well on LinkedIn. It's Stop Ecocide International, which is a campaign for the amendment of the Rome Statute to include the ecocide as a 4th court crime. And Patricia, thank you very much. Are you okay for you to just click on it so we can see the website, or do you think that's causing delays? Oh, perfect. Is this the Stop Ecocide? Yes, that's the one. And I think they also, if you scroll a bit down, yes. And you will see the advocacy work. So there is a lot that goes into it. So it's not just about amending. So this particular organization is arguing in favor of amending the Rome Statute, but equally you find professors and the academia and other international scholars that they will say that we shouldn't amend it. We should have I don't know, maybe a separate court that has the expertise and the understanding and to deal with this crime. And it may well be that you're going to be one of the future ICL lawyers that you would argue whether it's going to be in favour of amending the Rome Statute or saying that you need a separate court about it. You know, you can visualise it and say that this is what's better for the world, and you can push for it. So that's again part of international criminal law. And another very nice website, I feel, an organisation that you can follow, it's the Environmental Justice Foundation. and it's the second link that I've got, Patricia. Now, this organization, what it does, it globally documents environmental destructions. And these initiatives, what they do, they demonstrate that international criminal law, it needs to evolve to address environmental harms of unprecedented scale. And we've seen a lot of environmental crisis and damages, but I'm not going to go through this now. But I mean, this is about the ecocide as a crime, and a bit about the environmental law. Thank you. So, Patricia, if you can please go back to the PowerPoint slides. Okay, excellent. So the links have been shared. If you want, just copy paste them, as I said, into your Word with all the links that I'm giving you, so you can have that. Okay, so we've dealt with the second of what ICO, it extends beyond their own statutory crimes, and the third one actually, it's the animal rights. And surprisingly, which is, I mean, I've defended maybe a couple of times in domestic court. I think it was the Dangerous Dog Act. The dog bitten someone in the park or something like that. But that's how I started. Sometimes you see it's a small cases, perhaps they appear, but they unravel before you this huge area of law that you never quite realize the depth of it. And I think this is one of them, the animal rights. And related but distinct debate concerns even the animal rights, where the international law should eventually recognize crimes directed specifically against the animals. And you know, while ecocide, it focuses on the destruction of ecosystem, it does not necessarily capture the systematic cruelty towards animals or the deliberate extermination of wildlife populations, the wildlife trafficking. We've got industrial scale exploitation, mass destruction of endangered species are increasingly recognized as global problems with ecological, ethical, and economic consequences. So it's animal rights. It's an entire different subject, and I think it's evolving. It's a new area. So if you're into animal rights, this could be something. And I think I've seen some statements with Gaza where victims, they had a cat or a dog, and they will provide statement along the lines that, you know, this cat or this dog, it's my family. You know, whether the dog died or the cat. So those are the two normal pets that they would have. So that kind of shows maybe the needs that we need to address as an international criminal community. And do I have link there? I don't, but it doesn't matter. There are few NGOs that deal with animal rights, and I mean, animal rights as well, it's got this separate aspect of it. It may not actually fall necessarily squarely within the international criminal law, but I've dealt with it extensively actually during my appointment at the undercover police inquiry, whereby MI5, which is the organisation in the UK that it's the internal spy system of UK, and so MI5 disclosed millions of documents. So this is all part of the public record. You can actually look up for yourselves. It's called Undercover Police Inquiry. Actually, let me write it down for you because it's got some very interesting material. Let me just put it, Undercover Police Inquiry. Yeah, it's a bit, I can't see the letters, so it's a bit all over the place. But I hope you got it. Just correct them. Yeah, I think we're set to be O is okay. Yeah, Undercover Police Inquiry. And so when they disclosed the documents, I was dealing with the era whereby there were experiments on mice, and how they were used to experiment, and because they were spying on animal rights activists. And actually, one of the kind of main characters at that time in the 90s, she managed to release 300 mice from the pharmaceutical company, and she kept it in her house for 2 months. 300 mice. So that shows you the extent, when you do believe in something, the extent that someone may go. So that's a bit about the animal rights. Yes, thank you, Kimmy. Yes, yes, UCPI, that's the one, .org.uk. And actually, if you are in the UK, there are more inquiries, such as, for example, the Afghanistan inquiry, the Post Office inquiry, the Grenfell inquiry as well. There is another one about football sexual abuses inquiry. So what you can do, you can actually go to their website and look for, or you can type in and look for public inquiries. And you may get a very nice opportunity from there, and being involved into all this. Okay. So we spoke about eco-science, we spoke about the animal rights, part of the international criminal law, and there is also the protection of cultural heritage, which is another growing aspect of it, which emerged increasingly significant components of international criminal response accountability, actually. So the deliberate destruction of culture, sites, monuments, and places of worship is not merely an attack on property, it's something beyond that. It is often an attempt to erase the identity, the history, and the memory of entire communities. So international institutions have responded by strengthening mechanisms for documenting and prosecuting such acts. So organizations, UNESCO, so that's another one you can look into. Although with United Nations, if you would look for a career in United Nations, I will briefly speak about it. And it would be like a parenthesis to the other aspects of ICR. So with United Nations and similar organizations, they follow their own recruitment process. And so what you can do whilst you are trying to pursue or get your license or certificate in your home jurisdiction, you can get into the system, keep an eye on the vacancies that they have, along with, for example, the ICC's or ICJ's website, and keep that as part of your diary. So I know United Nations has its own. I forgot. I've done a long time ago, but I forgot the name of it. They have this name. I don't know. Has anyone applied to work with or for United Nations? Yes, that's the one. Inspira Think. Yes, I think you're right, Sienna. I have. Okay. Or UN careers. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with United Nations, it's just you go through those the recruitment process, and it's lengthy. And if you want to conceptualize an international profile, sometimes you actively need to do something more than that. Although if you do work for United Nations, you're actually getting the international element of it kind of straight away. But that's not the only way, and we will actually be speaking about it. So yes, so about the culture heritage, I dealt with that, and there are NGOs and civil organizations that deal with cultural heritage, and it's an entirely topic on its own. I mean, even if we're dealing with international criminal law, all those things, they are their own subjects. And another one that I would urge you to look into, it's the emerging development of concern of global corruption. And this is something with a global corruption and the growing proposal now in the international legal community to establish an international anti-corruption court. And I had the privilege to be involved in this initiative. but it kind of showed its relevance and its importance following the report from the UN Special Rapporteur of the occupied Palestinian territory, Francesca Albanese, who she spoke about a collective crime, showing how on a global scale, corporations, companies, they fed this genocidal regime, and which is based on corruption. So it would see that the international community sees somehow the need of it. I mean, back then when I checked, you can check the website, and I think I do have it. Patricia, can I see? Do I have the link for the International Anti-Corruption Court? I do. Yes. So it's the IACC, and it's under the auspice of the international initiatives. Initiatives of some, it's the III something international initiatives, yes. And the idea has been strongly promoted by the III, the Integrity Initiatives International, which what they do, they advocate for the creation of an international anti-corruption court, and they will prosecute kleptocrats and officials who steal public wealth and hide it abroad, or even the aspect of corruption I just mentioned. So the proposal, this particular one, has received support, and I think on the website they should have it at the bottom. How many countries that endorse this idea? Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of years ago, when I remember the number, it was 36 parties. They endorsed the idea. And it's been in the drafting committee now, so it's going really well. And I had the privilege to be part of drafting the victim aspect of it. So you see that the proposal has also received support from initiatives such as Global Organization of Parliamentarians Against Corruption, and that is because what the III, the Integrity International Initiatives, they're reaching out to countries by advocacy and lobbying, and they endorse the idea. So you will have to speak to members of the parliament and to advance the idea within the parliament, because then, so that's the, as we said, that's the political aspect of it, which gets intertwined so many times with international criminal law. So the development for such court will represent a significant expansion of the international criminal law beyond the traditional atrocity crimes. And I think there is the idea of having the seat of this court in London, but I don't know whether this still is the case. So that's another point of exercise for you to look at. It's got lots of information there, so check it out. And I think this particular one, they're always open to, you know, if there's any way you can contribute and help. So Patricia, if you can please go to the slide, please. The PowerPoint slide. Thank you. And I mentioned this earlier, and I will just briefly mention it, that you've got the space law as well. Although there is no actively much happening apart from the fact of militarizing satellites, we have seen that that the space exploration and settlement, it actually will require for international governance and the developing institutions through those needs. So this is something perhaps you can keep in your radar, or even because there aren't many lawyers that deal with it or have knowledge about it, it could be something that you have as a niche. And I've seen through my career people that they have very niche practices. There is a point that for whatever reason it triggers, and they become very, very valuable. So this is something you can invest along the way. I mean, for me personally, although I love space, the understanding of all this terminology, because my practice was so busy, I couldn't really delve into it. So you have to balance your personal circumstances as well. So I hope I became very clear that ICL is not just about the Rome Statute crimes, and there is also the aspect of enforcement, even if it's within the Rome Statute, about how do you come about and enforce the arrest warrants, which is something that I believe the international community, the international legal community, would benefit greatly with propositions and suggestions. So this could be another point that you can address. Now I have about 10 minutes. And in these 10 minutes, I want to hear from you questions. I just want to see how much more I've got to cover. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm not going to start another topic, which is about. So tomorrow we're going to start with. Do you start domestically or do you start internationally, or is it a combination of both? And what does it mean domestic? What does it mean international? And I'm going to take you through the list of councils for the ICC, the relevant bar associations that comes with it, and there's going to be a case study. But I think I'm not going to start this part now. So what I want to do is to ask you if you have any questions for me, and we can do that. So we can have a discussion, and perhaps it will be, it will be helpful for me to see if any of you are a practicing lawyer. I would like to know the jurisdiction that you practice. This is for me in preparation for tomorrow. So if you do have your practicing certificate, in which country do you have it? I've met once a counsel he's been a practicing counsel in 7 different countries. I found it to be extraordinary to keep renewing your license in 7 different countries. That's quite something. If you don't have your practicing certificate, just type no so I can see the engagement. So if you don't have a practicing certificate.
Hello.
Yes, I am a qualified lawyer in Philippines. Oh, someone wants to talk. Marissa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, do you want to ask something?
Not now. You are hearing me. Not now, Diana. Thank you.
Okay, then in that case, can you, I don't know how you got in, but the way you did it, if you can come out, please, to leave someone else to ask question if they want to, if you can mute your microphone.
Okay.
Yes, you can unmute. Thank you very much, Shavri. Okay, so a lot of you are practicing in Philippines.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, hello, Shavri. Hello. Do you have a question?
Am I visible?
I don't think you're visible, but I can hear you. Oh, you're visible now. Hello.
Okay. Hello. Hi. I'm an early career professional. I'm registered with, I'll first introduce myself, then I'll get to the question. So I'm an early career professional. I have studied from NYU. I'm a registered lawyer in India. And I do practice as an off counsel with the Collegium of International Lawyers UK for international extradition law. I'm eagerly waiting for the day to enter into international criminal law. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening. You're eagerly
Right.
waiting to enter the international criminal law. Yes.
While I have applied to a lot of positions, most of them require a litigation
Yes.
experience. The unfortunate part of it is that I, not even as an internship, have practiced the national jurisdiction as such. So I started my career with Amnesty International, Then I went to World Bank. Then I went for the legal fellowship at the United Nations. And I'm pretty much confused because now the international criminal tribunals are requiring for me to have a litigation
Yes.
experience because my experience is mostly
Yes.
academic.
And Shavi, if I may add that a lot of people actually from academia, they even if they specialize, let's say the thesis is about, I don't know, the genocide in Sudan, and they're dealing with genocidal law, litigation experience is such a vital element if you want to be a practicing international criminal lawyer, because you can be a non-practicing international criminal lawyer. And this is the stuff that we're going to look tomorrow. So domestic work, international work, how you feed from your domestic to your international, how do you materialize as such? So that means how do you start creating opportunities for yourself to do that? And what does it mean practicing and non-practicing mean? What is the difference, and how do you practice international criminal law? If I may add that practicing international criminal law, for me predominantly means that you are in the courtroom at The Hague or any ad hoc regional or was it ad hoc regional and yes, tribunal. So it's where you cross-examine witnesses, you're actively involved in a team. That is part of the litigation. And litigation advocacy, no matter how much you study it, there is no better place, no better university than the actual courtroom. And sometimes we dismiss the idea that how do I get criminal legal experience? I mean, even if you're dealing with, I started with my career, do you know what I was defending? So I started as a Cypriot lawyer. So I am from this place, a touristic place called Ayia Napa. And the restaurant owners used to put the tables a bit further than whether they were allowed to. So the police would come, issue them a ticket, and they would say, I don't want to pay it. So they end up going to the criminal court. It was a criminal, it was believed to be a crime. And I was defending about the tables and the centimeters and where they were. And when I was doing it, I was thinking to myself, what is the point of whether the table it is 5 or 2 centimeters, or if it's a bit further down? They had the reasons, but that particular crime was not equally applied to all the hotel owners, to all the restaurants. But what it did, it gives you great advocacy skills, the detail that you go through, and I think most importantly, it's you've got to listen. You've got to listen to your clients. It doesn't matter how old you are, how experienced you are, how many degrees you did. If you don't have the capability to listen to your client, you have lost your case. So I think listening is such a critical element. And then no matter what it is, you need to fight for your client to have a fair trial. And that's why all those principles, though, even though we're dealing with a domestic case, even the case that I just told you, which at that point in my, early on in my career, I wasn't happy to take on these cases. I found them to be very monotonous and arguing about centimeters. But it builds your advocacy. Don't be dismissive of anything. Don't give yourself that opportunity, and maybe take those small cases. That's how you start. And then it's a theft, and then it's domestic violence. I dealt a lot with domestic violence cases, ABH, actual bodily harm, grievous bodily harm, and then you work yourself on. But you see the process, the procedure aspect of it, the substantive law, it's about the same, and you start becoming a bit more comfortable. There is a flow into the way you move and you talk. But all those things about, I understand you want to practice, is it international criminal law?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we're going to go. So the idea is this, that hopefully in the first 2 hours, even before that, if I do finish everything, to give you all the information that you need. So once you have all the information needed, then I would like to speak to as many of you and perhaps personalize what you can do instead of keeping it generic. But allow me to give you all the information before you, and then you can make an educated decision whether we should discuss things further, because it may well be that you may have all the answers by tomorrow. And that's why we did this workshop in 2 days. So day number 1, we set the ground, we set the foundation, but day 2, we take all this spirit, all this energy, if I may say so, and we feed into the practicalities. So that's the idea.
Thank you so much. That was actually encouraging.
It will all be done. Thank you, Salomia. Thank you. Are we done for now? This is the end of today, is it? Or am I mistaken? I've got it for 2 o'clock Cyprus time. Can I just check with either Patricia or the Deepa?
Hi, Diana. Yes, I think we should be done by now. It's already 12 in the UK.
Excellent. Okay. I've got a message. Just thank you for the valuable advice. I just passed the bar. Sorry, I just want to read this and maybe we can. Okay, I can see some of you practicing in Philippines, one in Pakistan, India. Thank you for the valuable. Andre says, thank you for the valuable advice. I just passed the bar. I'm planning to focus on litigation in my country, Philippines, but later I want to explore ICL. Absolutely. And congratulations on passing the bar. Thank you. See you tomorrow. I'm really looking forward. Thank you, Kimmy. Shenna, thank you for your questions, Shavi, and for motivational advice, and I'm looking forward for tomorrow. Yes, I will see you all tomorrow. And I just want to say something. I am not here to motivate. I'm purely here to tell you that we need you into the field of international criminal law, and all of us has to find their own internal strength to do so, no matter what you call it. But I think more than ever now, as we're witnessing all these atrocities taking place, I can't stress enough of how much we need you. We need to prepare you, the next generation of international criminal lawyers. And I will see you on that note tomorrow. Have a good day, and feel free to text me with any questions you may have for tomorrow. Bye-bye.